Personal protective equipment. The class is ETM 422. My name is Blake Thayer. My group members are Charles Mack and Jordan Gast.
What objectives are we going to learn in today's training? We're going to learn what personal protective equipment is, and we're also going to learn the OSHA standards that are related to personal protective equipment.
So what is personal protective equipment? PPE is equipment worn to minimize exposure to hazards that cause serious workplace injuries and illnesses. These injuries and illnesses may result from contact with chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, mechanical, or other workplace hazards.
The OSHA standards that talk about personal protective equipment are general requirements, eye and face protection, respiratory protection, head protection, foot protection, electrical protective equipment, hand protection, and personal fall protection systems.
OSHA Standard 1910.132. This standard states the general requirements for personal protective equipment. This includes PPE for eyes, face, head, extremities, protective clothing, respiratory devices, protective shields, and barriers. These shall be provided, used, and maintained in a sanitary and reliable condition wherever it is necessary by the employer.
The next standard we look at is 1910.133, eye and face protection. This explains when eye and face PPE should be used, such as when workers are exposed to eye or face hazards, such as flying objects, molten metal, liquid chemicals, acids or caustic liquids, chemical gases, vapors, or potentially harmful light radiation. Employers must provide eye and face protection PPE for their workers who are exposed to potential eye injuries during their work.
1910.134 respiratory protection. This standard requires the control of occupational diseases caused by breathing air contaminated with harmful dust, fogs, fumes, mist, gases, smokes, sprays, or vapors, and the primary objective is to prevent atmospheric contamination. This should be accomplished by accepted engineering control measures. If not, then appropriate respirators will be used.
OSHA Standard 1910.135, head protection. This standard requires head protection to be worn when working in areas where there is a potential for injury to the head from falling objects, or where employees are required to work near exposed electrical conductors that could contact the head. The use of protective helmets must meet the ANSI standard Z89.1-2009.
The next standard is 1910.136, foot protection. This standard requires employers to ensure that each affected employee uses protective footwear when working in the following areas: where there is a danger to the foot due to falling or rolling objects, objects piercing the sole, or when the use of protective footwear will protect the affected employee from an electrical hazard.
1910.137 electrical protective equipment. This standard deals with the design requirements for specific types of electrical protective equipment. This standard also deals with how electrical protective equipment shall be maintained in a safe, reliable condition.
OSHA Standard 1910.138, hand protection. This standard requires employees to use appropriate hand protection when the employee's hands are exposed to hazards, such as those from skin absorption of harmful substances, severe cuts or lacerations, severe abrasions, punctures, chemical burns, thermal burns, and harmful temperature extremes. The standard also says that employers shall base the selection of the appropriate hand protection on an evaluation of the performance characteristics of the hand protection relative to the task to be performed, conditions present, duration of use, and the hazards and potential hazards identified.
1910.140 Personal Fall Protection Systems. This section establishes performance, care, and use criteria for all personal fall protection systems. Personal fall protection systems means a system an employer uses to provide protection from falling or to safely arrest an employee's fall if one occurs.
In summary, we learned what personal protective equipment is, and we learned the OSHA standards related to personal protective equipment.
This is a list of our references used for this presentation. We want to thank you for listening.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.